What's up everyone, it's Sinistry, and today I am here to discuss Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Now recently we did get a Pokemon Presents where they discussed a whole bunch of different games, and one of those being Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So I wanted to share some different thoughts and have a little discussion based off of what they presented in that trailer, as well as some information that we already have, and do what I usually do on this channel, just give my thoughts and opinions, and I would love to also hear from you. So feel free to follow along and leave your opinions down below in the comments. Now, just a heads up, I'm not going to be talking about rumors at all. Rumors or leaks or anything like that that's unconfirmed. I'm purely not talking about it just because I don't want to spoil anything for anyone else, but I already know about all of the rumors and leaks, so I may allude to knowing some things, but I won't be very specific. I won't give away any surprises or any mechanics or anything that have not been announced, but just a heads up, you don't need to be concerned about spoilers in this video because we won't be going in depth enough for you to really know what I'm talking about if you haven't read the leaks yourself. Also, if you would like to jump around to any specific topics that you have an interest in and give your thoughts and opinions based off of mine, you are more than welcome to. I will have the topic timestamps down in the description, but without any further ado, let's just jump in and talk about Pokemon. Okay, so there's a lot that we know about the Pokemon in this new game, and there's a lot that we also don't know. So I'm just going to start off with the starters. Now we have 3 starters, of course. We have Sprigatito, Fuecoco, and Quaxly, and I don't really want to give a whole lot of information about them or thoughts and feelings because people have done that more than enough. So I thought that I would give a single word to define each of them, and you can do with that what you will. Okay, so for Sprigatito, my word is cottagecore. For Quaxly, it is dramatic. And for Fuecoco, it's chaotic. Do what you will with that. I don't know if I'm accurate. I could not be. But based off of the trailer, that was just the vibe I'm getting. I will be going with Sprigatito, of course, because cat. I don't really need to explain more than that. I will say that I was kind of torn because I a little bit wanted to take Fuecoco because it's just cute. It's a cute little fire alligator. Adorable. I love it. Awesome design. Quaxly did not draw me at all. I am sorry. People are overrating this duck. I don't particularly love it, though I will say yesterday I went on a walk and I saw a duck or goose. I guess it was a goose that looked almost exactly like Quaxly. Like it literally had the little like hair tuft thing. It was pretty adorable. It made me second guess my feelings on Quaxly a little bit, but personally, no, I don't think we're gonna go for him. Okay, so now let's talk about some of the other new Pokemon. Okay, so first up we have Pawmi. Now Pawmi is this generation's Pikachu clone. If you know, you know. And I don't particularly think it looks very inspired. I think it's just what every Pikachu clone is. It's just a clone. It's nothing really all that special, but it is very cute. I will of course be picking one up, but probably never playing with it after I get better Pokemon because that's typically how the Pikachu clones go. Okay, so Lechonk, I'm gonna be totally honest. The name is cringe. It's literally just a pig. I have no desire to ever get this Pokemon. I will probably do it for the Pokedex. I don't really care about it, and I think it's super overrated. You can be mad at me if you want. I'm okay with that. I just literally cannot get past the fact that they named a Pokemon Lechonk. It's like 2 different memes of 10-15 years ago that they brought into today, which makes me very embarrassed for the Pokemon Company, but I mean, that's their choice. I'm not the one making the game. They chose to give it a stupid name and make it just a pig, and for some reason people really love it, so whatever, do what you want with it. I will not be playing with this Pokemon pretty much at all. Okay, so on the other hand, Smoliv is adorable. I really love it. I know it's just small olive. It's nothing all that special. It also looks a lot like Badoo. Did anyone else get that? I just cannot stop thinking of it as Badoo, and I think they literally just like took the art for Badoo and slightly tweaked it. That's just the vibe that I get. but I really love Smoliv for the simple implication that it could potentially give you, hopefully non-toxic, olive oil for cooking. I would love to have a Pokemon who gives me free food. So thank you to Smoliv for your service. We will be partnering up probably at the beginning of the game, I guess, and then I will probably never play with you again. Okay, so Satitan, I at first did not really seem that interested in it. It kind of looks like blobby is the best way to word it. Sometimes I get a feeling from a Pokemon like they didn't really know how to design it, and so they just gave it a shape with more shapes on it, and that's kind of how I felt about Satitan. But personally, after rewatching the trailer, I did think it looked a little more interesting, and so I do think it will be a Pokemon that I play with, but I don't think it's going to be one of my favorites. I will probably just use it when I need to use it and then not really keep it on my team all the time unless it's like a super useful Pokemon, in which case, yes, I will be keeping it on my team, but we will just have to wait and see. I didn't really find it all that endearing or anything from just the trailers that we've seen. If you have any different thoughts, if you think this is going to be an absolute crusher Pokemon, just let me know down below. I would love to hear your thoughts about Satitan. Okay, finally, at least for the regular Pokemon, we have Fido. I would die for Fido. I truly would. I think so many people would. And honestly, this Pokemon is probably going to be on my team for way too long. You know, you kind of like get a Pokemon at the beginning of a game and you're like, I just love you so much. I don't want to let you go. And then you just need better Pokemon, but you can't handle getting rid of this Pokemon. And so you will slowly like swap out other Pokemon that you're like, oh, they're a little bit better, but I'll give them up for right now. That's gonna be my situation with Fido. I will keep it on my team for way too long and then be depressed when it's not useful anymore and I have to put it in a box. I will say, if they can find any kind of way to make Fido useful, like maybe not in battles, but in some other way, I will be so thankful because I just need this little puppy in my life for the long term. Okay, so next up we're going to talk about the Legendaries, Koraidon and Miraidon. So Koraidon is Scarlet's exclusive, and it looks like a dragon that has a BMX or monster truck tire down its center, which you can use to ride along on different terrain. I don't really know why it has a modern looking tire because it's supposed to be a past legendary, like based on the past, and that doesn't really fit exactly, but I do think it still looks cool. I just don't really get past vibes from this dragon, whereas I do get future vibes from Miraidon. I think that Miraidon looks super cool with its tire that looks like it's made of light and glass. It really looks very futuristic, very electric, and something that I could totally see in a very futuristic world where I'm sure there would be tons of glass everywhere, tons of light-based structures and machinery and things like that. I think it would be super, super cool to see a world like that, and Miraidon would fit right in. But something that I found very interesting is it seemed like in the trailers, Koraidon never actually used its tire, but Miraidon used it all the time. So I'm a little bit suspicious that Koraidon is actually going to like run everywhere that it goes, or I guess swim if it's in the water, whereas Miraidon is using its tire for both the land-based terrain and the sea. It's just a little bit strange to me. I'm not really sure why they wouldn't do it the opposite way, because Koraidon has what looks to be an all-terrain wheel and Miraidon has something made of glass and light, from what I can see, and it just seems a little confusing, so I don't fully understand what's happening with these legendaries, but I'm very excited to be able to ride on them. I think that's going to be so fun. I loved doing that in Pokemon Legends Arceus, so I think it's going to be super, super fun to have that mechanic back in Scarlet and Violet. Okay, so finally I want to talk about the big bombshell that dropped, which is that Wooper will have a regional variant, and I am so excited because Wooper is so freaking cute, and I love that it's going to be this like poison-based mud-looking Pokemon. I think it totally fits. It's very much in line with its lore, and I just cannot wait to see it in action. But I am very curious to see if we will get other regional variants and how many of them we will get. I have seen some leaks slash rumors, and I'm not going to spoil them here, so don't get concerned. But I have seen that there might possibly be some other variants or some other mechanics that come into play with how Pokemon are classified, I guess. That's the best way I can put it vaguely. So I'm very excited to see what the Pokemon Company does with this kind of mechanic, but personally I'm just happy to see any new Pokemon or any new Pokemon forms, and I'm going to be very excited to add to the growing list of Pokemon. Now, that being said, I don't think we're going to get all the Pokemon in this generation. It's kind of been established that we're not going to get all Pokemon, definitely not all forms, but even just all Pokemon in general in any mainline game. I really hope we do in Gen 10 because that's kind of a big milestone, but I wouldn't be surprised if we never do again, and that kind of makes me sad. I love a lot of Pokemon that often get left out, and that makes me a little bit bummed out because I would love to see them in a new game with better graphics, or just, hanging out in a field, swimming in the water, whatever they tend to do as a Pokemon. I would really like to see them in their natural habitat and be able to catch them or battle them, just interact with them in any kind of way. And it's not the same if you're just playing like Pokemon Snap. I think that to see it in a mainline game would be super fun. Okay, so those are all my thoughts about the actual Pokemon and what we know. Now, I do know a whole bunch of Pokemon have been announced, or I guess shown off, that will be coming back from other games. I'm not going to run through the whole list because there's quite a few, and there's not really a whole lot to say except, oh, I'm happy they're back, or I don't really care if they're back, or why are they back? So you can just go find that list yourself if you want, but definitely let me know your thoughts about any new Pokemon or any variants. Again, just try to keep spoilers or leaks off of the video. I don't want to ruin anything for anyone else, but I would definitely love to hear your thoughts, especially about the starters and the legendaries. And now let's jump into the gameplay. So first of all, we have 3 stories in this new game. We have definitely the gyms being one of them. That was already confirmed within the trailer, but we're not really sure what the other 2 stories are exactly. We do know that there will be a treasure hunt, which I assume would be another separate story, though I guess they could be tied in together. I don't think so. I think the treasure hunt is definitely going to be story number 2, and I don't really know how it's going to play out, but my guess is it would be quite a lot like Legends Arceus, with, having missions, and you have to go like catch certain Pokemon in a particular way. You have to go maybe do raids, just kinds of things like that. Just make it more of a mission-based system. Now, a lot of people have been mentioning that they think a villain team is going to be the 3rd story, but personally, I'm not totally sold on that. I think that there could be a school-based story, and yes, I do think it would be different from the treasure hunt, which could also be based around the school, but maybe not entirely. I think that there could be either like a learning and education and caring for your Pokemon kind of story, or there could even be contests or something very similar where you have to really develop a bond with your Pokemon. Maybe you even train them up. Honestly, give us Nintendogs within Pokemon, please. I would be so curious to see how this would play out in a newer game where we only really had contests in some of the older entries. I would really love to see them come back, or some other kind of mechanic that's very similar, but it's totally likely that we could get a villain story arc as our 3rd story. I just don't think it would be all that inspired. I would really hope that they don't just portray that as like, hey, it's another story that we have because we get a villain arc every game. Like, that's nothing new. I don't really think that that should be a selling point, and unless it's like super fleshed out and there's just a lot to do there, I don't think it's worthwhile to really promote that as like a new awesome feature. Also, I did want to point out that the academy names are Naranja, which is orange for the Scarlet version, and Uva, which is grape for the Violet version. And I think it's a little bit weird. Why would they have an orange in the Scarlet version? Like, why wouldn't you go for like a cherry or an apple or a plum, even like a red plum? I don't know. Very confusing, but they chose to do an orange, so you know, I won't hate on them too much. I'm gonna play Violet anyway, so I'm happy with my little Grape Academy. I think that's gonna be super cool. I think it's just a cute naming system, and I wanted to point it out because it shows that they actually are thinking about this. So another gameplay mechanic, as I mentioned before, is you can ride on the Legendaries, and one of the cool things about this is this will be an open world game. So just like in Pokemon Legends Arceus, you are going to be able to travel all over the place, riding on Pokemon. I believe you will have a similar system to Legends where you might be able to like battle Pokemon randomly, or you might be able to capture them randomly. I'm not entirely sure. This is not like a 100% guaranteed this was announced, but just based on the fact that you're going to be able to ride on Pokemon, I would assume that you're not just going to be like riding on a Pokemon in the middle of nowhere and then suddenly you have a random encounter like you would in an older game. I could be wrong. Definitely don't take my words as fact, because that's just based off of my own speculation, but I don't really know why they would take a step back when they have a system that works really well from Pokemon Legends Arceus. Okay, so something that we don't really know a whole lot about is what is the time mechanic in this game. And what I mean by this is we have Scarlet, which is supposed to be a like past themed Pokemon game, and then we have Violet, which is a future themed game, and I don't really know how they're going to utilize that theme within the game itself. I don't know if there's going to be some kind of time travel. I don't know if there's going to be specific forms of Pokemon. You know, there are lots of rumors and leaks out there, and I think some of them sound great. Some of them I'm actually a little bit, maybe not skeptical about. I'm a little bit concerned. I really hope that this doesn't just become like a very cheap mechanic that was given almost no thought, and it was like, oh, well, we decided to do like one very small thing in this game, and then suddenly we're gonna like frame it as though there's a whole past themed game and a whole future themed game. I kind of get the feeling that's what it's gonna be. I really dislike some of that marketing style of like, hey, we're gonna have this whole huge awesome theme and mechanic and blah blah blah, and then it ends up being like something that is really disappointing or kind of a letdown. It's like not as exciting as they hyped it up to be. So just get your feelings in check, because I'm not 100% sure that they're going to be as interesting as we think, but I really hope they are. I want to see some kind of cool mechanic, and I want it to be like worthwhile that I play both games, or that I have someone else who played the other game, instead of just, you know, okay, I could play my own game and there was nothing really that interesting about the other one except like you could get 3 different Pokemon that weren't in my own game. Likewise, I think we really need to temper our expectations on the multiplayer system. I don't think it's going to be all that interesting, y'all. All they have mentioned is that you can capture Pokemon with your friends, you can raid, and you can ride on your legendary bikes with your friends. I don't think it's going to be super interesting. I don't think it's going to be like you can have huge battles. I mean, you can only play with 4 people, so I don't think it's going to be all that interesting to begin with in terms of battling. But I don't think it's going to be like, oh, you can play the whole game together. I would love to see that. I would love to see a Pokemon game where you could play as like a team and you go through some really difficult challenges together, and it's almost like a different form of RPG. I haven't played many RPGs, so I don't know what you would call that, but I think it would be so fun. Unfortunately, I don't think that's what we're getting here, so please temper your expectations. I don't think this is going to be all that interesting. It's probably just going to be a little bit easier to connect with your friends and go into raids together, rather than how it was in Sword and Shield, where it was a little more convoluted. Now, one thing I will say, which is very exciting, is within raids, you don't have to wait for your allies to make their moves in order to make your own. So it's not fully turn-based, which I'm very excited about, but I don't really know how that's going to play out. Like, Is it going to be like Pokemon Go, where everybody's just constantly going back and forth? Like, is the Pokemon you're raiding against going to just be constantly battling you, and you have to click A very fast in order to, like, continue doing what you're trying to do? Will there be a timer? Maybe you will only be able to use a move every 5 seconds or something like that, and then you have to wait for it to recharge up. You could maybe use an item in the meantime or something like that, but I don't really know how it's going to work out. I think it sounds a little bit messy and maybe a little bit chaotic, but I just don't want it to be unbalanced. That's my only fear. If it's like super easy to raid, or alternatively, if it's super difficult and the Pokemon just totally wipes you out if your friends are too slow. I don't want either of these issues, so I'm a little bit concerned about how this is going to play out. Okay, now it's time to talk about the gameplay mechanic that everybody has been looking forward to seeing how it's going to play out, which is Terastalizing. So Terastalizing, I think, could be very, very cool, or it could be a little bit overhyped. I'm not really sure yet. So I'm very curious to see how it kind of plays out with different Pokemon. One thing that I did want to note is some Pokemon don't change their typing when they terastalize. I know people have been talking about, well, what if you get this kind of Pokemon and it terastalizes into this type? And I don't know that that's gonna happen as often as we think. I know it would be very cool if like every Pokemon could terastalize into the type that it's weak against and then just go and like wipe the other team. Yes, that is all of our dreams. But personally, I don't think super like OP Pokemon are going to terastalize into some, you know, awesome like counter and they're going to totally wipe out things. I think it's gonna be a little tamer than what we think. Now, one reason why I think this is purely because we saw the starters terastalize into their own types. And I think, well, if they were going to do, you know, awesome terastalizations for every Pokemon, then why wouldn't they show them off for the starters? That would be like a huge, big booming kind of effect where you would have to notice it. But because they're terastalizing into their own types, I'm a little bit skeptical that most Pokemon are probably going to terastalize into their own type, or if they're a dual type, they're just going to drop one of the types and terastalize into whatever maybe the dominant type is, or it could be like the secondary type. I'm not fully certain. But we do know that some Pokemon will change their types. We do know that I think it'll probably be a very few select Pokemon will terastalize into possibly multiple types, such as Eevee. And I think that the rare types are going to be so rare that you're really going to have to search for them. So just temper your expectations, please. I don't want anybody to be disappointed by this. I think that it could be a really cool mechanic, but I think that we need to really understand that they're not going to just break the battle system for the sake of making a cool, like very OP Pokemon battle mechanic. They just can't do that. They're not going to do that because it would destroy competitive. They can't make it too unpredictable. They have to give people a little bit of strategy to work with. You can't just go, well, I'm just going to take whoever because my opponent could have a legendary that terastalizes into a complete opposite and it just wipes me out regardless, so who cares? It's going to have some thought behind it. It's not going to be completely, off the wall. I think some Pokemon will be. Definitely some are going to be very cool when they terastalize, but not all of them. So please temper your expectations just like I am. I want to be very excited, but I also know I will be disappointed if I get too excited. So let's just stay hype, but moderately hype. Okay, so there you have it. Those are all of my thoughts about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet for right now. I know that there are other things I didn't talk about, specifically with characters, maybe some other components from the trailers that I haven't really discussed, but I don't want to sit here all day. So I figured I would just talk about the things that were most impactful, and I hope that you enjoyed hearing some of these thoughts, some of these ideas, and I would love to hear what your ideas are about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet as well. Are you hype? Do you think this game's going to flop? Do you think it's going to be the best Pokemon ever? Do you think it's going to live up to Legends Arceus, which personally is my favorite Pokemon? I would just really love to know what you think. And if you have any rumors or leaks, please don't post them down below, but trust me, I know what's going on. I'm super excited for some of the leaks. I'm super skeptical about other ones. I really, really hope that this game turns out as well as I hope that it will, but personally, I don't know. I think with Pokemon, we always have to keep tempered expectations. So with that being said, thank you for watching. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. I post videos every Thursday about various gaming topics, and I will see you next time.